And we are live. Yes, here we are. All the goodness here. And welcome to the second review tonight. Oh my goodness, it has been a whirlwind. It's only been like 45 minutes, honestly. So, welcome everyone to the Ultraviolet Union Reviews, your GCW review team here on BC WrestlePod. I am actually just the co-host for this one because first and foremost, I'm going to introduce the leader of the GCW Ultraviolet Union, and Andrew, our GCW correspondent. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, what's up?
Nothing much. I'm excited to be here. I'm happy to be covering another GCW event with you because it has been a hot minute since we've covered GCW here on BC WrestlePod because the last one we reviewed was the People versus GCW.
Although I feel like we were just here watching back-to-back live shows, so we've been here for some GCW stuff recently.
That is very true. We with the watch-alongs, and then we're gearing up because now we're covering at least one GCW event every month now. So I'm excited for Tournament in Cage. That's the next one we're doing, and I'm super excited. Of course, my name is Mikey. I am just a co-host here. Joining me tonight, besides Andrew, our lovely correspondent and lead at GCW, but we have a fresh face right here joining us this evening. Adolfo is here, and he is also going to be reviewing Effy's Big Gay Brunch with us.
I need to let my hair down for this. I don't have a mimosa, so...
We get long hair, don't care. This is going to be a fun review for sure.
This is the recovery after the brunch.
Yes, this is the recovery after the brunch. So I'm super excited. I know since we started covering GCW, Andrew, for the longest time, we were waiting to hear when we would be getting this year's iteration of Effy's Big Gay Brunch. And as soon as it happened, I was just like, okay, we need to put it on here. Next year, we're going to get Will to be covering this because I feel like Will would also be somebody who loves this very, very dearly.
Indeed.
But before we get into all the fun and chaoticness that was Effy's Big Gay Brunch 10, if you like what you see here on the screen, or even if you don't, we love you either way. We want to hear from you. So drop a comment below on the YouTube and the Twitch. Follow us all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod. Let us know how we're doing, what you think we can improve on, and, just leave your hate mail for us, because you've made it on the internet when you get hate mail and people trying to cancel you on the internet.
Every interaction helps.
It really does. And if you want to see more chaotic, you can totally follow. Again, go to the social medias. That's where all the out of context clips that surely will never come and bite us in the butt in the future are, as well as our lovely little report cards for all the weekly shows and the pay-per-views and special shows and all that good stuff. So this is fantastic. The West Coast crew is divided and conquering because me and Adolfo are here. Minnie is covering the Monday Night Raw after Mania right now. So it is chaotic. But without further ado, I have one more announcement before we get into Effy's Big Gay Brunch 10. So, Andrew, you know this. We've been trying for the longest time. We've been trying to get Crossway. We've been trying to get JVL. But to no avail. It's been me and you with GCW since August of last year. However, I am happy to report and I am happy to say that thanks to the watch-alongs for Bloodsport, Effy's, and even Joey Janela's Spring Break 9, I am happy to announce that we are adding a third host to the GCW crew, and that is Adolfo right here. He will be joining us full-time for GCW. Now he is going to be joining us. And what a way to baptize. Well, I mean, he got to see the GCW events, but this was a nice precursor and an appetizer for him to jump into Cajun tournament, which is going to be nuts.
I'm excited for it.
Adolfo, welcome to the Ultraviolet Union.
Gracias.
To initiate you, we have to hit you with a light tube.
Yeah.
We need
either
Gabe,
that or a gusset plate. You get the choose.
give him a gusset play, have Gabe Kidd curse him out. It'd be great.
Yep, that's right. Either that or lose $1,000 worth of feathers. Anyway.
So I'm super excited, but with that out of the way, let's get into the real reason we are here, and let us cover Effy's Big Gay Brunch 10.
Right.
So before we get into all of this, I want to give my thoughts, and then I'm going to pass it to Andrew, and then we'll go to you, Adolfo. I've been really excited to cover this because I know GCW, their roster and all the shows they have is very inclusive of all races, creeds, and sexual orientations. And of course, once every year, we get the culmination of this is about to be the queerest thing on wrestling television, and I am here for all of it. So when we made it work where we were to review this, I'm like, this is going to be fun. So I'm excited. We're going to talk about it more in depth, but I was very happy for my first time with Effy. So, Andrew, what about you? What were your overall thoughts and, just your excitement of covering this?
I think Effy's Big Gay Brunch may have actually been one of the first. See, I watched one a long time ago, and I can't remember if I had watched a Bloodsport or a Big Gay Brunch first. And this was before we ever covered GCW. I think it was even before I was a part of Bi-Conics. And so now coming into it with this history of GCW, knowing so many of the competitors that were in here, and just like this weekend was just a great example of everything that GCW encompasses, from Bloodsport to Spring Break to this. And we'll get to it later, but the cap of the evening, I think, summed it up perfectly. And it was just awesome to get to see people really enjoy it. It was awesome to get to see how the fans were supportive. That guy in, it wasn't a deer stalker cap, but it was like some kind of cold weather cap that was at every single event. Just seeing everybody just so into it, and so getting to express themselves how maybe they haven't been able to in other promotions. Everyone's getting a little bit better, but even now, there's a little more homogenized wrestling out there. So getting to see this and getting to see people just be as fabulous as they want to be was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then finally, Adolfo, your overall thoughts of Effy's Big Gay Brunch going into it, and then, just how'd you feel about it?
So I watched a lot of wrestling this weekend on both GCW, WWE, Progress, CMLL,
TNA.
TNA, a lot of wrestling. And a question was asked in a previous stream: what was the best pay-per-view for this weekend? This was the best pay-per-view for the weekend, and it wasn't even a pay-per-view. I mean, you just pay on Triller, but like as far as events go, this was the best this weekend. There was drama, there was hard, fantastic wrestling, there was beautiful costumes, there was glitter flying, there was CPAs taking their shirt off 4 times. Like it, this. That's right. This is wrestling. This is what wrestling, I feel. This is the soul of wrestling, the entertainment, I not to jump the shark, but Effy said at the end how with everything going on in the world, we had this to like take us out from that, and it did, and it was fantastic. So
Agreed. Okay. Oh my goodness. So I'm super excited. Let's just dive into it because we got a lot to get into and a lot of fun to talk about. So before we get into the matches, I want to, shout out the commentary team the entire night.
Oh, best commentary team.
We had the return of Allie Catch being Allie Catch on the mic still, which is fantastic. But we had
so good.
We had a drag queen, we had a lesbian,
and they knew wrestling.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the best part.
They knew so wrestling. Good.
They were, yeah.
I was like, can we have them for every show? I'm just saying.
It was so good, so good.
Also, category is Chapel Rowan realness because there was a lot of Chapel Rowan inspired stuff, which I love. The opening bit was great. I was like, so full disclosure, I was like, the opening segment before we got into our first match, I was like, I've been to enough drag brunches. This is such a drag brunch moment. I love this so much.
Yeah. And
you can tell that these people have hosted things before too. This was so good. It was such a fun, opening segment, getting the crowd ready. So without further ado, once we got that out of the way, we got into our first match of the card, which was a 6-person scramble, which saw Sandra Moon versus Brooke Havoc versus Vipress versus a debuted in GCW, the headhunter himself, Anton Voorhees. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. Versus my favorite comedy person in this match, and Jamie Lynn Senegal, and of course the daughter of the quintessential diva herself, Jay Vidal, was in this match.
Miss Senegal, I hope you got your hangover taken care of because you were looking rough that whole match.
Okay, we're all men of a certain age. When she came out with the glasses
was good.
And the coffee, I was like, this screams Y2K coded, and I am so here for it.
The sweats, the puffy boots.
But not only that, I felt like it was an embodiment of how wrestling fans felt this weekend with everything going on. I mean, this was the 4th or 5th wrestling event at the Palms. I mean, you know how much DNA is embedded in that mat?
Oh God. Well, and I felt so bad for MLJ watching the cluster at the end of this. His voice was so hoarse because he's been calling all of the shows. It's Jamie Lynn Senegal just got started much sooner than everybody else, I think.
So this was a 6-person scramble. This was great. It had everything I wanted. We had, bisexual undertones with Brooke Havoc wanting to kiss everybody, which was great. We had lesbian realness with Vipress, who we're going to talk about after the Abdon and Suddy Kiss match because I was squeeing.
Yep.
I loved everybody in this match. Of course, Andrew knows both him and I are familiar with Jay Vidal from TNA. Can I just say, though, also Sandra Moon, ROH, talent getting squashed half the time with Athena and Mercedes matches, but I was kind of sad to hear she was going to retire in 4 months. I was like, no.
I made a note of that because that caught me off guard. Like I feel like GCW, man, it's like every few months we're just like, oh, guess what? This person's retiring, and it's a bummer, but at least we get to see them like do their stuff before they go.
Oh, absolutely. I have to say, though, for me personally, the biggest standout for me, because I had no idea who he was, but he impressed the hell out of me, was Anton Voorhees. Like, that man impressed the hell out of me this match.
Yeah, he was the only person out of these 6 that I had never seen before. A lot of them I either learned from, GCW or TNA. I'd actually seen Jamie Lynn Senegal through like wrestling social media and everything. And so I'd seen quite a bit of all these wrestlers, but Anton Voorhees was the only person I'd never seen before. And I had one impression when he first came out in his entrance gear, and then like I was just so impressed throughout the rest of the match by him.
Mm-hmm. So those are all the participants. Now let's talk about the match, because where do we even start?
It was, this was one of those entertaining matches that was just like, it had everything inside of it. It had the funny moments, it had the dramatic moments. Well wrestled, some great spots. There were some scary spots, but especially because they were wrestling without a crash mat. They were hitting hard concrete floor. So that good on them for that. But yeah, this match was what you want to see in a beginning match. It got the energy level up, entertained the people. Definitely had my interest the whole way. And really quick, Sandra Moon, good luck. If this is the last time that I see you perform, good luck in all your ventures. It was a pleasure. This was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew, any other additional thoughts for this match?
No, I agree. I mean, I think this match was a great opener because it had all of the energy it had samples of the energy from every other match that we were going to get later on. So it was really that, this was the buffet beginning of the brunch.
Yep.
Absolutely. Of course, I had to shout out some personal favorite spots of mine. Again, Antoine Voorhees jumping all over the place was great. Jay Vidal was also really great. He's improved a lot since we got to see him in TNA, and I love that. Jamie Senegal had me rolling on the floor laughing, especially when she got depantsed and then she started attacking people with the boots and her sweats, and then she's like, I'm out of here. Yep. I'm done. Goodbye. Like, we're done. And you know what? Good on Sandra Moon for winning this match. This was a really fun opener. Yeah. This was good. So then we move on to our next match, which also had me rolling on the floor just because of entrances alone. But so we have a singles match next. This saw Rico Gonzalez taking on the Evil Gay and WWE ID prospect Aaron Rourke. It wasn't until the end of the match I'm like, did he just wrestle the entire time in context? Because that's dedication right there. I was like, what is happening? This was such a great match. Yeah. I actually really enjoyed this one too.
Yep.
I'll be honest, this is my first time seeing, because I know of Aaron Rourke due to the social media, him being a WWE ID prospect. This is my first real time seeing him, and I actually liked what I saw. He's a lanky dude too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Andrew, I want to. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say this was my second time seeing Aaron Rourke. My first time was the ID tournament, so he's still pretty new to me. But I was super impressed with him in the tournament. I was excited to get to see him wrestle in Big Gay Brunch. Rico Gonzalez also impressed me a lot. Getting to see both these guys, I really appreciated the fact that we got to see a lot of their technical skill. And then in the end, we got a little bit of underhandedness, but it wasn't like that was dominating the match. So we got to see them really, really wrestle and show those technical skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with Andrew. This match, in regards to Aaron Rourke, being so evil. He was evil. You know, it's so easy for that heel portion, that like underhanded portion, to like take over and kind of and become the match, right? But that wasn't the case. This was a perfect balance in that, which, you know, good on these two. You know, if they are newer wrestlers, I couldn't tell. You know, they pulled it off great. It was like a well frosted cake.
Very good. Please make this a whole thing for the review where we're comparing matches to foods and
I might.
beverages and drinks like that.
I might.
Listen, it has been a whirlwind of a food tour over here between him and Minnie, taking them to all the local spots where all the food are at.
Oh, shout out to Lawless.
Yes.
And Luchador. But anyway, let's keep.
So the evil gay himself, Aaron Rourke, does pick up the victory in this match. I agree with both of you, and especially you, Andrew. I think this was really fun technical-wise to be able to see their abilities. And then, of course, you know, doing the over-the-top stickiness, which was a lot of fun. And the ropes to try to get the win didn't take me out of the entire match because it was only like maybe 5 to 10 seconds, which was great.
Yep.
But this was really, really fun. And I really hope we get to, well, he's a prospect, but I want to see more Aaron Rourke at GCW shows and other places that we watch our independents, and even Rico too. I want to see more of both of them.
Yeah.
I think I said it when we were watching it the other day. I was like, I would love to see these two run it back again. Like, I would
actually only been wrestling for about 3 years.
That's crazy. He could have fooled me.
Yeah. Shout out to the Gay Brown representation.
Yes. Okay. So we'll talk about this when we get into our next match, because once we get into the beef dip match,
Dale.
me and Adolfo had this conversation while we were watching. I was just like, do you understand how big this is for both of us to watch this? Because, well, Andrew, and you can relate to this a little bit too, like, especially those of the browner persuasion when it comes to the community of the LGBTQIA+. Like, we all know that that community has more representation than what's noted, but it's so very DL culture and on the down low, because of just how the culture is. But again, we'll talk, that could be a whole nother episode. But I do want to get into this next match though, because I had to pause because I could not stop laughing after I was told what the name of this type of match is. In the beef, it was a beef dip match. I'm like, hold up, did they say that correctly? So okay, on paper, when I first got the card, I was like, oh, I know 2 out of the 4 of these individuals, but all of them can step on me. But that's besides the point. But then it turned into the better part. So before this, we have the beef dip match. So we have, you know, Paro, who we're familiar with. Been seeing him on GCW since we started covering it. Yep. Also in OVW too for a little bit. So he was also there. We have the non-binary nightmare themselves in Max the Impaler, who me, Andrew, love Max. Their match against Jordan was fantastic as well when we got to see them at Victory Road 2 years ago. I am new to Brick Savage, but I love him so much. I'm like, yes, brown representation, let's go. I was just like, that is a big man.
Yeah.
But then to add the cherry on top of all of this, we were supposed to get Zico. But then I was like, hold up, I know this music a little bit. And out comes Richard Holiday. I was just like, and Minnie had called us. He's like, the biggest villain of Effy's Big Gay Brunch is going to be a white man. And actually, he probably was the biggest villain on this whole entire show, because he comes down, he paid Zico off to take his spot. And he's mostly here to embarrass Paro, because these two have been going back and forth since People versus GCW, and even a little bit before that.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So poor Richard Holiday had no idea what was about to happen, because Max Paro and Brick, every chance they got, just squashed him. And to watch him get thrown around like a ragdoll was just so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
But when he wasn't involved, Brick, Max, and Paro, oh my gosh, that's a lot of meat being thrown around in here.
Yeah. And really agile meat too.
Oh, absolutely.
I was really impressed with the rope moves that the three of the beef dips were doing. I'm just going to call them in plural the beef dips because I challenge someone to tell me that this is not a match that you would see back in old school WWF, WCW days, because to me, this really harkens back to like the old school days of wrestling,
Where it's just house matches, yeah.
where it was just Haas matches,
Yeah.
and Haas match, people in character in Haas
Yeah.
match. It was great. I do. What was the bad guy's name?
Richard Holiday.
I do want to shout him out for coming out and being the heel. Not that it was a hostile environment, but for going out and taking that beating, because I'm sure that he is an ally. So he was just playing the part so that someone could get beat up. But just shout out to him for doing that. Just showing that he's a good sport. I'm assuming. I'm just making that assumption. But shout out to him. Good on him for that. It was a great match. I love the beef.
He was the Leonardo DiCaprio to the Django environment.
Yes.
He's like, oh, that's a good comparison, Andrew. I want more Brick Savage. I fell in love with him. He was so good.
Yeah.
But that's because he's the newest of the three. Like, I'm very familiar with Pyro. I'm familiar with Max, not just from TNA, but the Independents, but also NWA as well. Like, having the long title reign there was really fun. But I want more Brick. Brick is Puerto Rican Bronson Reed is the comparison I made.
Puerto Rican Bronson. Yep.
Oh, I would say he's Bronson Reed and Ivar's love child.
Yes.
Yep.
The way he moves, the intensity, it's just got all that.
Yeah, and really quick, I gotta send a shout out to, I think it was Paro and the two beef dips that were wearing harnesses while wrestling. As a performer, I do wear leather sometimes when I perform, and I have to fight in it. And I know that, especially when it starts getting wet and sweaty, how it can get very chafy. And for them to wear those harnesses and perform like they did in them, that's what I'm talking about.
I think they have a lot of experience.
Yeah, I mean, you learn how, but it's not easy, and I'm acknowledging that fact. Yeah. Thank you for that.
So I was just super excited to get to see Max come in and wrestle. I'm a huge fan of Max. Max is one of my favorite. I was so happy to see them unify the NWA television title, get that run, and be getting some recognition because I've been following them for a while. So anytime that they get to show up at GCW makes me happy, even if it is just getting to see them at Big Gay Brunch. But yeah, Paro also been following for a while before getting into GCW, and so getting to see them all show up here and getting them to just like do what they do and go in there and just be hosses was just so much fun. And they all had their moments to shine, which was great.
Yep.
And this was a lot of fun. Paro does end up picking up the victory here, which is great. And Andrew, I think what we're starting to see, and maybe this is just me, I feel like we're slowly getting Paro like becoming a babyface ? Or at least getting closer to it. Because he did have a moment because the crowd was cheering for him. It's like, I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah. I think more like anti-face.
Anti-hero.
Yeah, kind of like position. And this is something, again, I said a lot, is GCW is really good at building stories, especially because most of their stories go for a few months, and because they'll involve people who are only in GCW for a short amount of time, and then they'll need to go on to another story. But they have a beginning, middle, and an end. They tell the stories to the point, and usually those stories build on other stories that come after them or from stories that came before them. And I thought they did a good job of having this fun house match while also continuing the story with Paro and Richard Holiday. So I hope we get to see a final culmination between the two of them sometime soon, maybe at Weekend of Survival or something.
Yeah, I would love to see them go at it at Weekend of Survival, and if not in the tournament, have something at Cage, which would be a lot of fun. But shout out to everybody in the beef dip match and Richard Holiday because I really enjoyed myself. So now let us get into yes. Okay. I want to say this.
Let me do my thing.
Go for it.
Greatest technical wrestler alive. I will die on that hill.
Kid Bandit.
I mean, Zack Sabre Jr.
Okay, so we get into this singles match, which saw Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kid Bandit. First and foremost, the intro showing Kid Bandit's like journey as a retro video game cabinet pops my little nerdy heart.
Yeah,
I loved it so much. I was just like, this was fantastic. And then of course, you know, Kid Bandit's been out because of injury. So I was really excited because this was really my first true time I got to see Kid since we started covering GCW, like actually fight. And she is so good. She is
so good.
Kid is so good. And the fact that they get to go up against Zack Sabre Jr. of all people.
Yeah.
I really love the storytelling we got in this match because towards the beginning, Zack was like older brothering Kid throughout the match. And then Kid got like super into it. And Zack's like, okay, now I got to take them seriously because otherwise we're going to be in trouble. This was so good. I love that she comes in as a striker. Again, she is a literal real life embodiment of a fighting game character in the way that she mixes her wrestling with her martial arts kits. I love this match. You know, I'm biased as all heck. I love Zack to death. Zack has been 3-0 in terms of having really great matches over the whole entire collective weekend that he was a part of, including Spring Break and Bloodsport. This match was no exception. Andrew, I want to come to you first. Zack versus Kid, what'd you think and just thoughts overall?
So I just want to point out that Kid Bandit has 3 years of pro experience.
Wow.
Zack Sabre Jr. has 21 years. So you're talking about 7 times the ring experience.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty crazy there to begin with. But the thing that really, really got me about this match is the fact that it, like, you can't deny it. Zack Sabre Jr. is the bigger name, worldwide name, recognized by many people as being, you know, one of, if not the greatest technical wrestler. He's head of a huge faction in another promotion. He's been doing this basically world tour. Mm-hmm. He's up there with Manser for probably having the most matches this weekend. And so he comes in here against Kid Bandit, who's returning, has much less experience, is much more of like independent internet like recognition. And man, these two, once they got going, like, it was just like a gritty fight. It was Zack Sabre Jr. using all those technical skills and Kid Bandit just refusing to quit, using all her kicks and strikes. And I loved the way that they incorporated those strikes because the way she used them against Zack Sabre Jr. was just like, it was almost like the finesse of martial arts with like a brawler approach to it. And like there were some of them that you could just like feel when she connected with them. And it was so good. And I put this in the report card too, was like, this was one of the best matches that someone has looked in losing. And I think they both they did exactly what they needed for this match to be one of, if not the best match of the night.
They put on a clinic. They put on a technical clinic. Hats off to Kid Bandit. Zack Sabre Jr. would put her into a move she would counter. That would force him to counter. Then she would counter. Then they would break. Then there was the striking. Then they would lock back up. And then another into a move, into a counter, into another counter, into another counter. It was just so good, so seamless. Again, like this match had great wrestling, told a fantastic story. I mean, you almost didn't need the little vignette beforehand, it was helpful, but you didn't need that vignette just at the start where you had Kid Bandit bowing to Zack Sabre Jr., showing the respect and, knowing that it's Zack Sabre Jr. that they're about to face off at. And then at the end, where she again bows to Zack Sabre Jr. Well, he helps her up. She bows to him, and he does the whole, like anime. I notice you. Senpai notices me. By like, tussling her hair. Like that moment, that Alucard. When he's Dracula, notices Saris Victoria. It was just cool. It was cool. It gave me the warm in my tum tum. This was just, man, this was just a good velvety cheesecake going down. It was so good. So it was good. So good. It was good. It was good. Find it on the YouTubes if you can. Zack Sabre Jr., Kid Bandit. Find it.
Or sign up for Triller and watch it on Triller.
Yeah, Triller Plus, or even the 7-day free trial if you just want to watch this match and just this event alone too.
Yep.
7-day free trial.
Yep.
Not officially sponsored by Triller TV, but hey, we recommend it.
I mean, fair. Yep.
I will have to go back at the end of the year, but I enjoyed this match so much. I think it's probably like maybe creeped into my top 15, top 10 of the year, but it's definitely something to go back to because it was just so different. Now I'm a huge fan of Kid, so I want to see what Kid can do. And just the vignettes we saw, I was just like, I'm here for goth wrestling, like for real.
Yeah.
Very Lolita, gothic, Wednesday Addams. Like I'm here for it. It's fantastic, so good. And it's Zach.
You're right. I made the statement when we watched it, and I'll make it here. I would love to see Kid Bandit face off against Janai Kai
in MLW.
In MLW, because they both have a very similar style, and like I think that would be a match.
Janai literally her moniker is the Kick Demon.
Yeah.
So.
That match I feel would blow the roof off wherever they do it.
That would be cool. MLW and GCW would be really, really fun.
Yeah.
So
I also gotta point out that this was an almost 20-minute match.
Right.
So the fact that they were given that amount of time and it didn't drag at all.
Nope.
Every second of that.
You were invested from beginning to end. It was as a testament to both of them in the ring. This was so fantastic.
Yep.
And I was like, this is in the middle of the card. This is perfect. But then we get into probably the funniest parts of the evening. Okay. So we have this 10-person tag team match. This is the rookies versus the all-stars / the vets. So on the rookie side, we have Randy Myers, Beetlejuice himself, which I've become a fan of him just because of the shenanigans that were going on. So Randy Myers, Zay Perez, Hunter Gallagher, the Rhinestone Cowboy himself, Steven Crow, and captain of the rookie team, and Papa Yase. Shout out to Papa Yase. He was I loved him in this match.
Man.
Against the veterans / the all-star team of Marco Mayor, sporting the Charlie XCX Brat Summer cosplay, which I love. Angelo Carter, your favorite vampire, Atrial Noctis, who was just out there for blood, literally
biting people,
literally.
Licked Matt. There's so much blood on
with their captain Nikita Murray, but our personal new favorite wrestler of all times for today only. He normally goes by CPA, but for this event, he was known as CP Gay.
Yep.
I am such a fan of CPA / CP Gay now. I was like, oh, he's my favorite wrestler now. I don't care what anyone says. He cracked me up so much. When he went for his move, it's just like the slow walk to the turn, 10.99. And then, of course, when he took off the shirt just to reveal another shirt.
Yep. His tie was a clip-on. So good.
I was just like, give me more, please. But I have to say, this was a chaotic match. But in the best way possible.
Yes.
I love this chaos match. I will say, I felt that some people had more time than others, but I have to say, I feel that everyone got a chance to show off, especially towards the middle and the end, where everyone was busting out finishing moves and all that.
Spamming the finishers.
I enjoyed this. This was great. I don't need, Adelpha, I'll start with you. I don't even know where to start with this match.
So I'm going to start with whoever produced this show did a fantastic job because coming off of such an emotional match, which was Zack Sabre Jr. And Kid Bandit, to go to this light-hearted, slobber knocker of a 5v5 was genius. It gave you that break that you needed, and it was entertaining. All 10 of these wrestlers, all 10 of these wrestlers were fantastic and entertaining in their same way. I mean, CPA, CP Gay, we shout him out because he just he was just admittedly, for me, very unique in the way that he presented himself, in a way that you don't see a lot in wrestling now. He willfully, came out and looked like the dude that wasn't supposed to be there that day, and it was fantastic. It was chaotic, yes. Beautiful at the end when we had the two help me out, Andrew. I want to say it was the Rhinestone Cowboy and the leader of the vets.
You're talking about when they did the double moonsaults?
Yeah, and they did the double moonsault.
That was Angelo Carter and Papa Yase, I believe.
Okay, yeah. So Angelo Carter and Papa Yase doing the double moonsault at the end there.
Yeah.
Very, very well done. It was just very, very fun match. Perfect placement in the card. Loved it.
Yeah, this was a really good palate cleanser because, like you said, it gave us something that I don't want to say there was less investment, but it was just more carefree than the last match we had, but it kept the energy going. It wasn't like okay, cool, well now I can go take a bathroom break or something, because it was still entertaining. It was still fun. If you're someone who likes GCW or independent wrestling, even if you don't know some of these people, you're interested in seeing who they are. There was enough interest in them for you to go, I want to find out more about this person. I want to see how they are. I want to see this character, which was a great lead into basically like the co-main event and the main event. So I agree that this was great placement. The structure of the show was really well done. It kept it going along from start to finish. And this was it was a fun way, and GCW does this a lot too, of having these scramble matches, of getting people a chance to be on a show. And I think they do these multi-person matches much better than a lot of other companies, because quite a few of them, one that I used to cover with Mikey, used to do this a lot, and not so well, because it made it feel very much like you were just using the scraps. This doesn't feel like this. This feels like you're elevating and giving a platform for the people that aren't in your main stories. And so I give them a lot of credit to that, and a lot of credit to everyone that was in this, because not only did they go out there and give it 100%, but they also went out there and looked like they were having fun.
Yeah.
I had such a great time watching this match. The All-Stars do pick up the victory here, but again, I agree with both of you that this was a good palate cleanser, especially after the more, I don't want to say serious, but the more story-driven style of match between that came before this and Kid and Zach. But this was a lot of fun, and it definitely got the crowd back up in energy, so that way it can carry through what would become the semi and then our main event for Effy's Big Gay Brunch. So this was fantastic. CP Gay gave the people what they wanted at the very end.
Yep.
I may or may not we are now following him on the social medias just because now he is fantastic. Love them. Love him. I'm excited. So let us get into the semi-main event, because
yeah.
As soon as I saw, Andrew knows this, as soon as I saw this match that was on the card, Andrew already realized that I was going to be biased, and this was probably going to be my favorite match just because I am the biggest fan of Sunny Kiss forever. I love her so much. And then, of course, we here at BC WrestlePad have a special place in our hearts for Abaddon. They are fantastic. Shout out to Abaddon's new look, first of all.
Shout out to the
Oh,
blue. Love that electric blue.
I was just like, the way that it was done up, I was like, yes. I'm like, yes, Mortal Kombat, come through.
That
But
was like cinematic quality.
yes.
Yeah.
And Adolfo, you had made the comment during the match too. It's nice to see Abaddon outside of the Halloween shtick they were always given.
Oh yeah.
In their former place of employment.
Yes, so good.
It was, for the appearance wise, they're all great. Miss Sunny Kiss also having cakes on cakes. Like I was like, I think I'm in love. Adolfo had to collect himself a little bit.
Woo, Sunny Kiss. Yes.
So
has some assets.
So this was a singles match between these two. I absolutely loved it. It's been a while since I've seen Sunny in a match, but I am so impressed with how much power Sunny now has.
Mm-hmm.
And just being able to pick up Abaddon with ease and throw them around the ring. But this match to me had such a perfect balance of really fun wrestling, but also some fun moments too. Like we had the twerk off. I got a chuckle out of Abaddon, just like not like facial features alone when she started twerking off against Sunny Kiss was great. But there was also some good technical wrestling as well, like Sunny being athletic with the gymnastics background and also the powerlifting. I always love watching Abaddon, but I was like, hold up, I think I see some new moves in these repertoire Abaddon. I think these are things that I have not seen yet. And I was very impressed with Abaddon. I really love this match. This was a lot of fun for me too. And yeah, the match itself was fun. We're going to talk about that ending in a little bit, though.
Yeah. Looks like Abaddon has added a few tricks in their repertoire, which was very impressive to see them do. Some rope aerial shenanigans. They are such a great entertainer. Dare I say, and again, because I cover the CMLL, I'm a little biased with this, but lucha libre quality, like audience engagement, just making it entertaining. Sunny Kiss, wow. I would love to see more Sunny Kiss on my TV because power and agility, both these wrestlers did such a great job, both showing that they know their craft. This match also, after the fun that we had in the last match, it had its fun moments, like you said, Mikey, but it also got down into serious wrestling, so it again helping the flow of the show, easing into the final match of the day. But yeah, the Abaddon Sunny Kiss,
loved it.
So good.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Both of these two performers, I have loved seeing them work since I first saw them. My glimpse of both of them was from AEW when I first saw both of them. I had hoped we were going to get to see Sunny hang around TNA a little bit more just for the desire to see her wrestle more. And so I hope we do get to see her. I think both of them have such great qualities that they could do really well in any promotion. Abaddon is such... Not only can they wrestle in the ring, but they bring a very unique performance quality because they can do that great horror, supernatural character work in there and be genuinely frightening. But at the same time, they can also flip it and be super entertaining, comedic. If you haven't seen Abaddon's interview on, was it Hey EW.
with
Yeah.
RJ.
Yeah.
Such a good interview.
So good, so good. And it shows you, it's just like a quick glimpse of like how good they really are. But throughout this match, you could hear them interacting with the audience, interacting with Sunny, interacting with the ref. Just like you said at the very beginning, Sunny tries to kind of mock Abaddon, and then Abaddon gives it back, and it's such a good mixture of like different supernatural wrestling characters throughout the years, but some unique qualities in there. And again, the wrestling is there. It's not just character work, and I appreciate all that. And both of them, getting to see them really put it on and really show why they were like in this spot on the card too was pretty awesome.
Yeah, Sonny, don't think we didn't see you getting your Thriller on. Saw that.
I was dying. Like, this match was a good mixture of wrestling and just fun comedic and performance space too.
Fantastic.
Now this ending though was kind of out there, and I was just like, love wins. So Viperous comes out, and I was like, are we about? And we're gonna get Viperous and Abaddon. Okay, cool. They get into the middle ring, and then we start seeing them make out. I was just like, yes. I don't know what's going on, but okay.
Yeah, that was a very entertaining ending. just because like there was a very comedic quality to it, because they just like flopped to the floor and started rolling around. Abaddon's makeup was all over the place, and then she like gave the heart to the cat. It was it's a
very like, I've seen this happen quite a bit in GCW, in Progress, in Defy. They made a joke about Viva Van. I think it was not on this show. It was on, I think it was on the initials versus all the other initials card. That was the next day. But they made a joke about Viva Van, if she's still with man like Doris, because at one of the GCW events, like, they supposedly got engaged. Viperous is just hooking up with everybody. And so this was just like the energy that they bring, and they get huge pops, and it's just, and the great thing is you never know who's going to end up making out with who at these shows, and it's entertaining, and it's fun. But it was cool to see that, because you thought you were going to get the like, oh, she's going to hit Viperous with the finisher, and nope.
Just whole makeout session on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, the way that, like, when they came together and they looked opposite ways to set it up, it was good.
It was so much fun. Viperous and Abaddon walking to the sunset towards the backstage area. It was great.
Yep.
I loved it. So we have reached the finality. Let's get into our main event, because trans rights. I'm just saying.
this heart wrencher. Oh my God.
So the craziest thing to say about this is the most GCW match on this card. But even though this was a GCW Presents event, but this was for the GCW World Championship, which is, our queero, our hero, our gay icon of GCW, and Effy, defending his championship against longtime friend, and whom I've come to respect after the speeches that we were going to talk about at the very end of this, in Dark Sheik. This is the most GCW match, and I loved every minute of it. Like, I loved it so much. Of course, it's Effy. I love Effy. I've only seen bits and pieces of Dark Sheik. I was like, I need to see more of Dark Sheik. I love Dark Sheik wrestling. She's so good. I love them. Andrew, I'm going to come to you first. What did you think about this match?
This was, first of all, the story of this match was so good. This is like top promotion storytelling, because for those that haven't been following, this has been built up since back when Mance Warner and Effy had a fallout, and it was the turmoil between Mance and Effy, and like what that was doing to, like, basically Mance turning on all his friends, Effy starting to ignore all of his friends and partners because of his obsession with getting back at Mance Warner. And we saw that with Allie Now, Dark Sheik was kind of caught up in the middle of this and earning that chance to get that title shot. I thought the fact that we had Ali on commentary for this was great because, the three of them were really that like unit of, friends and wrestlers. And so this was it was great because it really was like, there was no animosity here. It was Effy, who has wanted to be that world champion and hold that title, and constantly feeling like he needs to show that he deserves it, like that he is good at what he does while also getting to be who he genuinely is because of his background. And Dark Sheik, who is someone who has fought a similar journey and is wanting to show that she can be at the top of that game and wants to hold that up for herself and everyone else that she feels she represents. And these two are really good friends, but you have two friends who want to be the best, and they were out there trying to put everything they had into this, not out of animosity or spite or hatred, but for their mutual desire to hold that title. And it was great. There's so much storytelling in every moment of this. The match was phenomenal, entertaining technically and storytelling wise. I loved it. I thought it was a great cap to this show in multiple ways.
This was so good. Adolfo?
Yeah, you didn't. The ending speeches aside, this match was just raw emotion personified. Hearing, Effy telling Dark Sheik to,
Mm-hmm.
and Dark Sheik was just like, I love you, and it just, whoo. It was raw emotion. The wrestling was really good. These two showing off, Effy showing off why he's the champion, but Dark Sheik showing off that, they deserve to be in that ring, and they deserve a shot at that belt, right? It was great. I would love to see this match.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it, roll it back, and let's, I want to see him again. I want to see him tee off again. So good, so good. And even though Effy does come out still as the champion, Dark Sheik looks so good and so powerful. Like I want more Dark Sheik on my TV. Thank you very much.
I think for me personally, this was a really great match. This was a fantastic match. And for me, this was a nice preview. And Andrew, I don't know if GCW would do this, but when she's healed up and she's ready to go, if they really wanted to, because I think it would be a really great, talking about it, that emotional weight. We get Sheik and Effy one more time, but then we add Ali to make it a triple threat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is a match that I probably will cry. I'm not gonna lie at the end of it, because somebody is walking out as a champion, but it's the culmination of the last year and a half that we've had, with the Mance and the Effy saga, and then these three in and out of each other's like lives in the ring, and then Ali turning at
Mm-hmm.
fight at the Fight Club event over the weekend that we saw. Like, it was great. But as far as this match goes, I loved every single moment of it. Effy again has become one of my favorites outside of like the major staples. I am such a big fan of Dark Sheik now because I've only gotten to see bits and pieces of her wrestle, and now I'm just like, I love the video game-esque qualities that she has. Like the split into the dick punch was funny to me.
Oh, the Johnny Cage.
The Johnny Cage
So
was so good.
Yeah.
And Andrew, we've had conversations before where Dark Sheik has a lot of inspiration in her gear and just some of her movesets, like from those fighting games, which I love.
Yeah.
So again, Effy walks out as world champion by the skin of his teeth because Dark Sheik brought the fight to him, which was fantastic. But now, that match was great, but what happened afterwards to end the show is where it pulled my little heartstrings. So let's talk about it, because I think it's important, because here I think we're very lucky that at BC WrestlePod that I feel like we're very blessed to be able to kind of cover all these different, international promotions, US based promotions, and all different types of codes and creeds of wrestlers. But when I tell you that Effy's speech before Dark Sheik got to talk, let's start with Effy's speech. So Effy gets in the chair, gives Dark Sheik her flowers, talking about how, you were the first person to fly me out anywhere, give me a shot, dealt with me, because Effy has gone on record saying that he was a kind of a little shit like years ago. And in this industry coming up, he was the rebel rouser, but he got to a point where people didn't want to book him because he was too problematic. Then he matured, he got older, and he realized he can't be like that. And despite everything, Dark Sheik was one of the few people who would still book him on these events and actually helped him put on the first ever Big Gay Brunch ever, too, and continue to book him and have be a part of this event, too, which is crazy. But then when the moment that Effy gets up out that chair after giving Dark Sheik her flowers and then talking about the status of the world and how important this event is to the current climate of the outside world of the four walls of the palms that he explained, with people trying with their rights being taken away and certain government powers trying to erase these people from the history books and from the populace. It is important that events like this happen, and Effy has no problem being the revolutionary to lead the cause to make, and I quote, this is Effy words, not mine, to make those fascists be afraid again, which I was like,
To make Nazis be afraid again.
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
So I was just like, because essentially wrestling is performative. It's like a performing art.
It
And
is.
performing art gets political sometimes, and I am
Sure.
glad that we have places like Effy's Big Gay Brunch where we can have wrestlers that we watch and be able to talk about these things and let their feelings be known.
Well, and I think a big part of it too is at an event like this, you have so many independent wrestlers, you have so many young wrestlers that come from all over. And so I think a big part of, both their speeches at the end were about the fact that, like, yeah, it's all great and fun and doing all this. It's like going to Pride or any of that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, it's great in that moment, but a lot of people have to go back to the life that they're living, in the areas that they're living, the people that they're living around, in the environments that they're living. And that may not be as great where they have to go back to. They may not get to be themselves or have that representation as much as they do in this moment. So it's important to have these kind of events to not only give them a place where they can feel comfortable, but to showcase them, bring everybody that wants to be a part of that, whether they're a part of the community or they just want to be allies and support the community and just come together and enjoy it and support each other. But it's also important to make sure that it's not just like, oh, it's all like, sunshines and rainbows for everybody all the time. It's important to remind people of that and talk about it, especially from someone like Effy, who has a platform like he does and, is willing to be that figure. Because there are a lot of other performers that don't have that power. And so I think it's super important for them to be able to say these things. And I give that's so much credit to GCW and the promoters that are a part of that too, because they're actually being a part of setting that out. And obviously Dark Sheik is a promoter herself as well, and so like having these places where people can go and do those things, it's really important. So I think them coming out and saying that stuff, it continued the emotion. It had some seriousness to it, but it was also a way of like unifying and uniting everyone that was there, that was watching, that was a part of it, and I think that was one of the strongest things that they had the entire night. Maybe the entire weekend. It was just a really strong, heartfelt, but also a really important message.
Mm-hmm. Nova?
Yeah, no, that's it. Not to be upstage, but Dark Sheik's words afterwards were very moving. When she said, these trans hands might not hold gold, but yeah, no, it was good. It was good. It was good. It was a great cap off to a great pay per view. Brava, Maps. Good job. Great. Loved it.
I will say, if you do get Triller TV Plus, you can watch Dark Sheik's promotion, Hood Slam, which is up here near where I and the professor live. Not super close, but it is a Northern California-based promotion. They have a lot of the same wrestlers that you saw probably throughout the weekend in GCW. Like Brooke Havoc is a big part of it. Viper's is a big part of it. So, if that's something that anyone is interested in and they get Triller, you can watch their events on Triller as well. So, lots of good stuff to watch on there, and another good way to support all of these wrestlers and promoters too.
Nice.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that does bring us to the end of Effy's Big Gay Brunch 10. I'm really excited for the next iteration. I'm not even going to lie. Next year, we're going to get Will. I feel like Will needs to be a part of this.
Yeah.
For reals.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It sucks that it's a once a year thing. I really wish that it was, it was a multiple, but I'm excited to see these wrestlers in there elsewhere. I'm excited to see these wrestlers elsewhere. So,
well, I mean, some of these folks that we got to see, some of them at least, you'll get to see more of. And now that you're a part of the GCW crew,
yes,
and and actually, there's a lot of cross promotion too. So obviously, the next GCW event that we're going to be covering live isn't until June, and that is Tournament of Survival 10 and Cage's Survival 4. However, in between all that, we do have a couple other GCW shows and JCW show too, which makes me super excited. But there's a lot of crossover too. Like,
yes,
I'm excited for the next couple of events, but I'm excited for May, especially the Run For It event, because it's going to see the GCW debut of Billy Starks in there. Nice. So I'm excited to see Billy mix it up with the GCW talent that's there, because I feel like Billy also fits very well in that GCW. But my final thoughts for Effy's Big Gay Brunch 10, as this is the first time that I've gotten to see it. I loved it. It makes me want to go back and watch the other iterations of it too. And you know what? I also agree with you, Adolfo. I kind of wish that this was more than a once a year, kind of like how Josh Barnett has Bloodsport like twice a year or 3 times a year. I would love to see more iterations of it. But hey, you know what? It is something to look forward to every year. So I cannot wait till the Collective 2026 I'm assuming in New Orleans, because that's where Mania is going to be next year. So there's a lot of Louisiana-based promotions too that make me excited to see. So a lot of talent in New Orleans and around the area is going to be so good. But yeah, final thoughts. I love this. This was fantastic, and I can't wait for next year's. Andrew, thank you so much for introducing me to the world of GCW. It's been such a fun run since homecoming last year. Like, that's what got us our start, and now we've gotten to do a lot of stuff, and now we picked up this stranger along the way to go on the ride with us.
Put my hair up now.
So once again, the GCW crew will be back in June to not only, because we will be doing the watch-alongs, crossing fingers depending on schedules, for sure, of Tournament and Cage, as well as doing a double review of those events. But in order to prepare us for that, you can still check out all the other stuff we got going on this week. Tomorrow evening, myself, JVL, and Jesse will be reviewing Night 1 of WrestleMania. On Wednesday, you get another double dose of reviews as the crew reviews Night 2 of WrestleMania. Then Andrew and I will be back at 7:30 p.m. Pacific on Wednesday for Progress Vegas. We weren't going to, but then after a certain email hit our inboxes, we made the decision. I feel like we kind of have to now. Like, that inspired us to do it. And honestly, I'm glad we are, because Vegas was a pretty fun. The Vegas chapter was a pretty fun show.
That was a cool show.
It definitely was. And then we will finish off WrestleMania 41 Hell Week officially on Friday with the TNA Unbreakable pay-per-view review, which was a lot of fun, where we saw lots of triple threat matches. We had a really fun moment where Chris Bay came out and talked and update us on his recovery journey. And then, of course, we have a new champion out of Unbreakable, the first ever TNA International Champion. and his first title defense will be at Rebellion next weekend, which I'm super excited about. But that's going to be it for us here at the Ultraviolet Union. Stay tuned for all the other reviews this week, as well as the weeks to come, because May is just as jam-packed with everything we got going on. And, you know, in 2025, it is a great time to be a wrestling fan. But
It is.
truly, from the bottom of my heart and the rest of the Ultraviolet Union and the BC WrestlePod, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, especially stay Bi-Conic in these time and days. And remember, you always deserve to finish your story. So, from all of us here at BC WrestlePod to all you he, she, theys, and gays out there on the internet, we love you. Sayonara, adios, and we'll talk to you next time. We out.